What's good, everybody? It's Bro Hamza, and today, guys, I'm coming to you with a brand new video. But before we get into that, guys, I'd like to invite each and every single one of you guys to go ahead and leave a like. Let's try and get 20 likes on this video. We've been crushing 15, so try and impress me, guys. Let's try and get 20 likes. That'd be pretty awesome. Again, subscribe if you guys have not already, and make sure you comment, because I do read and respond to every single comment. So just comment anything, even if it's me asking about your day. Just go ahead and just comment, and I'll respond to it. But anyways, guys, I've been talking too much. Check out all the socials down below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright, guys, so now starting off with the deck profile, it is a direct follow-up to my last video. And again, make sure you guys stay and understand each and every one of my descriptions, because if you do in that deck, you won't know the exact reasons why I play each and every ratio. But anyways, guys, let's start off with the video. Of course, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we do start off by playing triple Yugituber, the Jester of Despia. Now, this is basically the best normal summon of your deck. Reason for it: if this card is normal or special summon, you can add one branded spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So this is anything that has the word branded. So branded fusion, branded beast, branded opening, branded red, branded loss, branded retribution. You guys get it, right? So yeah, this can do it. And then if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while this card's in your graveyard, target one effect monster your opponent controls, special summon this card, and if you do, negate the targeted monster's effects until the end of this turn. So the primary effect is why you use Yugituber, because you're always going to be fusion summoning him or using him to get a fusion summon card or things of that nature. But the secondary effect is kind of like that, not Ray, it's the Rose effect, where like it's a very underrated effect. It's got a nice little floater effect in it, where like they have to seriously deal with that card and then deal with the Yugituber coming back to negate. So again, Yugituber is pretty nice in that regard. A 3 of mandatory, because of course you want to open this card, because this is how you get branded fusion. Nothing to say about that. And then for the Despia cards, the rest of them, we played the one Ad libitum. So Ad libitum is very good. It's pretty unique in of itself. So if you saw one of my combos, we end on branded loss on the board. Essentially, branded loss will enable us to add Ad libitum to our hand. So when you go branded fusion, we essentially fuse this card away from our hand plus the Mirror Jade to go into like Guardian Chimera or whatever, and then Ad libitum will trigger to reborn the Mirror Jade, which gives us another banish, because like I said, if you use Mirror Jade, you can only use it once while it's face up. So Ad libitum helps us reborn it after it gets banished, because she says you don't really worry about this attack gain effect, because like it rarely comes up, but this card essentially says if this card is in your hand or field, is used as a fusion material and sent to the graveyard or banished. So again, branded in red, you can target one of your Despia monsters or level 8 or higher fusion monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, except whatever special summon it. The first effect is like to gain attack equal to its levels, which is like a very rare effect. It's super niche. You don't really use that effect. The main effect is this one here, where you can reborn. So you can reborn any of your fusion monsters that are level 8 or higher, or Despia monsters. So like if you have a Yugituber and you want like the Yugituber follow-up, you can do that as well. So it's pretty good. Again, just one more thing is you can only use one Yugituber effect. So if you reborn a Yugituber, you're not searching, of course. But yeah, so that's it for the Ad libitum. Now just we play the one Despian Tragedy. You guys will see when I explain it later on why, but we do play the one Despian Tragedy level 1. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, you can add one Despia monster from your deck to your hand, except Tragedy. You can banish the card from your graveyard, try one branded spell trap card in your graveyard, set your field, you can only use one effect. Of course, when you banish it, it won't get it. Another thing is that it has to be sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect. So if you have an effect that uses or sends this card to the graveyard as cost or banishes at cost, it won't work. An example for that is if you go Twin Twisters, discard Tragedy, it won't trigger. Similar to like if you go like Snow effect, banish Tragedy, it also won't trigger, because it has to be by a card effect. So on a resolution of the effect, if it banishes, then you'll only be able to do it. But again, that's it for the Despia, guys. We do play a small Despia package, and it's because like really Yugituber just helps facilitate a lot, and this lore is kind of crazy how like all these cards go in hand in hand. But again, moving on, we play the double Fallen of Albaz. So you can play 3. I think if you play 3 though, you definitely play like a heavier poly version of the deck, specifically because like just 2 is good enough, because you want one in deck, and you want the other one to cycle. Opening it, again, it's not like it's a brick by any means, it's still a good card. But yeah, Yugituber says, or sorry, not Yugituber, Fallen of Albaz says, if this card is normal or special summon, you can discard one card, any one card, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on the field or fusion material, including this card, but you cannot use other monsters on the field, or other monsters you control as fusion material. You can only use each effect monster turn. Note, this card says you can discard one card, fusion summon one fusion monster from your deck using monsters on either field. Fallen of Albaz is essentially like a super poly in that regard, where he normally summons discard, especially going second. He helps break boards, because like you have to react him, because like there's literally every type of Fallen of Albaz fusion there is. So like Albaz can just discard, fuse away. It's pretty good. But yeah, we're just rocking Albaz at 2. Then we're playing double Mercurier. So you definitely can play 1. You definitely cannot play 1. I didn't say can. You cannot play 1. And the reason why for that is because in my combo tutorial I showed you, we banished one to add another one later on in the combo sequence. So you want 2 in your deck. And then playing 3 of it is a little weird because you technically don't want to open it. You only want to search it and have it in deck, so you technically don't want to open it. Again, there are still instances where if you open this card, it's good. But Mercurius says this: when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as a material, quick effect, send this card from the field, negate that effect. Mercury also has the other effect, which says if this card is banished, you can add from your deck to your hand 1 Fallen of Albaz or 1 monster that mentions it, except Tri-Brigade, of course. And then this is one of the main facilitators, the main combo cards that we play. It helps enable a whole bunch of plays, especially with the Bystial, because this is a dark monster as well. Yeah. And then the final Fallen of Albaz card we play is Albion the Shroud Dragon, or the monster. So Albion's a little weird because Albion says this card's name becomes Fallen of Albaz while on the field or in the graveyard. And then also says if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one Fallen of Albaz or 1 branded spell trap card from your hand or deck to the graveyard, apply the following effect. If this card is in your hand, you special summon this card. If this card's from the deck, place this card at the bottom of your deck. Then if you place this card from your hand, draw 1 card. So it's pretty good. You're almost always never sending. You're almost always milling instead, just because it's a pretty good effect. And then having this card being able to draw is a nice little addition as well. So Albion is pretty good in that regard. And then being a level 6 or higher dragon is very important, as I'll explain later on. Then play the 1 Blazing Cartesia, so I actually lied. This is the last Fallen of Albaz card to play, or Fallen of Albaz card. Cartesia says, if you control a Fallen of Albaz, or if it is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, quick effect, fusion summon 1 level 8 or fusion monster using materials from your hand or field. During the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to your graveyard this turn, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's the mandatory effect, very similar to Ecclesia, where once it's declared, you cannot mess it up. You always have to get this card back no matter what. Then being able to special summon is pretty good. A really good thing about Cartesia, and you can technically play this card at 2. I just felt like in my testing, the need of it having at 2, it never really came up. Just having the 1 is good because she's always constantly cycling herself up. And yeah, and the reason for that is she's just another way of fusion summoning, so it's pretty good. But that's it for like the other guys. Now playing the Bystial engine, which is like heavier engine. We're playing triple the Bystial Lubellion. Now this guy is absolutely OP. This guy says cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from the hand or graveyard by attributing 1 level 6 or higher dark dragon monster. You only special summon him once per turn this way. Then the other effect is you can send this card from your hand to graveyard, add any Bystial monster from your deck to your hand. Then its final effect is during your main phase, you can place 1 branded continuous spell or trap card from your deck face up. Again, 3 effects means the monster has to be absolutely cracked, broken. And Bystial Lubellion, the reason why he's OP is because you can use Lubellion, discard himself and add a card, and then use that Bystial monster, of course, to not banish Lubellion, banish another card, special summon it, and then Lubellion can tribute the monster to go ahead and special summon himself out, and then use his effect to activate it. So he provides a lot of cards in like 1.5 card combo scenarios with Lubellion and himself. He's a very stellar top deck as well. He's super OP in that regard. But yeah, so you do play the triple Bystial Lubellion, then triple Bystial Magma, of course. All the Bystials have the effect where you can DD Crow a dark or light monster. If your opponent controls a monster, it's a quick effect instead. Magma's effect is when he's special summoned. During the end phase, you can add any dragon monster. So it's pretty good because like you can add Fallen of Albaz, you can add Albion, add any of the Bystials as well. So Magma is very good. Serenir, again, very similar to the initial effects, but then Serenir has the effect where if he's sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 Bystial monster or 1 branded spell trap card from the deck to the graveyard instead. So Serenir is like probably one of the best cards. He's probably the second best Bystial monster behind Lubellion, or not probably, he is the second best Bystial monster behind Lubellion. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the combos you're going to be using Lubellion to get Serenir if you don't have Serenir. Of course, if you have Magnemut, Baldrake, whatever, you can do it. But yeah, so we're playing triple Serenir, and then I just wanted to include, because like this is a post-Photon Hypernova, so I want to play as many Hypernova cards as possible. So play the 1 Bystial Baldrake. Now Baldrake is good. He's a better form of interruption when you're going first, not when you're going second, because when you go first, he relies another Bystial to be on board. But this guy says you can target 1 light or dark monster, again like I said, for special summon him. His effect is if your opponent special summons a ritual, fusion, synchro, XYZ, and or link monster, so literally any monster other than like a masterpiece or something, you can contribute 1 other light or dark monster, target 1 of those cards and banish it. So he's good probably after you've resolved the Magma or have another Bystial on board. Then he becomes a lot better because he's a reactive card, he's not a proactive card, so that's why I feel like he's okay. Druid Swarm, again, similar activation requirements to the other Bystials. Druid Swarm said if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, target 1 special monster on the field, send to the graveyard. So again, these 2 are probably the worst ones, these 3 being the best, 1, 2, and 3. But then these guys are good as well. Again, this is a reactive card, this is a proactive card. So even if you go second Druid Storm to send and then blinking Druid Storm off, or fusion summoning Druid Storm off to the grave and then sending a card and setting up a nasty chain link is pretty good. But that's it for the monster guy. He played 22. Now getting onto the spell cards and what makes this deck really pop. So now moving on to the spell cards of that, guys, we are playing triple branded fusion. Now if you guys do not know what this card does, is you can fusion one fusion monster using materials from your hand, deck, or if it has fusion material, you're just locked into fusion for the rest of the turn. You can only activate it. Branded Fusion is absolutely insane. This card most likely will get hit to 1 if this deck sees any remote tier 1 success or tier 1 play. Branded Fusion will most likely go to 1 because of how crazy this card is. It facilitates so many plays. Aluber, like I showed in my combos, every single combo has Branded Fusion. Again, there are ways around it. The main issue with this deck is it has a big reliance on its Branded Fusion, but again, there are ways to get around it, as I will showcase a lot later on in this deck file. But again, yeah, so triple Branded Fusion, there's not much else to be said about this card. It's absolutely insane. They're playing triple Branded Opening. So Branded Opening is a discard E-Telly. This card says discard 1 card, target 1 Despia monster from your deck, and either add to your hand or special summon it in defense position. For the rest of this turn, you can now special monsters like fusion monsters. And then its second effect, which is a very underrated effect, is if a fusion monster you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish the card from your graveyard instead, of course, protect it. So that's pretty good. And then one final thing to note about Branded Opening is this says discard 1 card, then take 1 Despia monster. That is not cost. So if you do end up having Tragedy in your hand, it can trigger Tragedy. So you just activate Branded Opening, and now your opponent has a chance to respond. It's not a discard for a cost effect, so note that. So if you go Branded Opening, they negate it. It's okay because you can still play. Then moving on to another power spell, we play triple Fusion Deployment. Now I didn't really showcase any combos with Fusion Deployment. I just feel like that this card is very OP in and of itself, especially when you mold your deck around a specific card, which I'm about to talk about. But Fusion Deployment says reveal 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck. We're probably always going to be special summon from your deck, spoiler alert. One of the fusion materials whose name is specifically listed on that card. Also, you can now special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except fusion monsters. Now Fusion Deployment is really good because you can reveal 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck 1 fusion material monster whose name is specifically listed on that. So basically, Fallen of Albaz, right? That's how we get Fallen of Albaz. It helps us facilitate a lot of plays. There are also other cards that you can use as well, but it doesn't really matter because Fallen of Albaz is crazy. So triple Fusion Deployment. But now this is what I was saying. It is a post-Photon Hypernova card, and unfortunately this card probably isn't going to be budget. We saw it, I think they changed it to like triple tactic thrusting or something like that, AO, pause. But basically, talents is crazy, or tasking is crazy. If your opponent's activated an effect, a monster effect, set 1 normal spell trap card directly, it can't be activated. If your opponent controls a monster, you can do it instead. Now, tasking is very good, and the reason why I'm saying this is you need to understand, right? There are a lot of instances where your opponent will be able to interact with your board. You lose to a lot of cards as well. So being able to go tasking, let's say our opponent has a monster on board, right? You can get Branded Fusion, you get Branded Opening, you get Fusion Deployment, you can get tasking. There are all sorts of OP power spells that you can play in this deck to even give you follow play as well. That's I feel like tasking is very good. Then moving on, we play the 1 Branded in red. You can play more, but the reliance on Branded in red is a lot fewer now, especially because like there's so many ways to get cards in the graveyard to get Branded in red on field, so it's easy. Branded Lost, very similar situation. I'll explain Branded Lost. I don't think I talked about it too much, but Branded red again is quick play, add it to hand, banish, whatever. This is how we trigger our Ad Libitum to reborn our Mirror Jades. Branded Lost says if you fusion summon a fusion monster, add 1 Fallen Albaz or monsters that list it from your deck to your hand. So it's pretty good as well. And then we played the 1 Branded Regain. Now this is the new card. I didn't showcase it. You can technically put this card in the side deck if you want to just like run a cool 40 and it's fine. But I think Branded Regain is pretty good in the instances where like Branded Beast is gone and removed. You can get Branded Regain with Lubellion instead. Regain says if a light or dark monster is banished, target one of those monsters, place that monster on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw a card. So it gives you cycling with all your Bystial cards. And then the second effect is once per turn, if your opponent normal summons or special summons a monster, target 1 Bystial monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So this one gives you a lot of follow play, it gives you a lot of protection as well, gives you a lot of recursion. So it's a very underrated card, so you can definitely play this card. Most of the time though, you're going to be going after Branded Beast, but again, if you already go through this card, then you have Branded Regain as well. Then the power spell is Foolish Burial and Gold Sarcophagus. The reason why I say this is good is Branded Fusion is used 2 ways. One, it's used to fusion summon. The second is it's used to Foolish Burial, right? And that's what one of the main effects is. So if you go Branded Fusion, your opponent negates it, you still need a follow play. So this is what I was saying where like tasking comes into play, maybe even talents if you want, where you can go Branded Fusion. Oh, I got Ash, cool. I'm going to activate my Foolish Burial to send my Mercurial or my Tragedy, use one of my Bystials to banish these cards, and then this card will trigger to get me this card will trigger to get me this. So it's very crazy in that regard. So playing the 1 and the 2 ratio plus the Foolish Burial is really good. And then again, Gold Sarcophagus functions similarly to Foolish Burial, but Gold Sarcophagus can basically trigger by itself, whereas Foolish Burial you need the Bystials. But I mean, you're playing 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 Bystials, so you probably have a way of getting into it. But yeah, Gold Sarcophagus is really nice in that regard as well, just being a power spell. And then of course we play the 1 Branded Beast, the 1 Branded Retribution, which I've already explained before. But again, basically if you control a branded monster or Bystial monster, tribute 1 Dragon pop card. During the end phase, you can get any of the continuous spell cards and place it. Retribution is the Solemn Warning of the deck, and then you can banish it to get any one card as well, so it's really good in that regard. So yeah guys, we're playing a cool 40, but like I said before, you can take any of these cards that play 41, you can move tasking away, add some more cards as well. But that's it for the main deck guys. Now we're gonna move on to the side deck, or like I said, my options. So you can play the one branded in white, and this is probably something that I would recommend you play for sure. And the reason for that is, like I stated in many of the combos, being able to have some sort of miracle fusion, some sort of Albion effect, whereas you almost always have Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard. You can just use branded in white to extend your plays as well. Being able to have more ways of fusion summoning monsters, especially cards that are very easily accessible, like Aluber, is very good as well. So again, it's more of a power one spell. So like if you get rid of this card, get rid of the tasking, get rid of the gold star, get rid of cards like that, you could definitely play it, and I definitely wouldn't hate it as well. Then there's Brandon High Spirits, which this card is absolutely crazy. You reveal one fusion monster in your hand, send one level 8 fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard with 2500, which all of them have, and then discard the reveal, and then add one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it. So this card is like ways that you can get Blazing Cartesia, you can get any of the other little guys as well. So Brandon High Spirits is very good. Again, like I said before, you can play the second Blazing Cartesia. It doesn't really come up too much for me, especially because she has the mandatory effect that lets you add her back. So in the grind game, she'll always be coming back to your hand like a good person. But yeah, then you can play the Edge Imp version, like I said before, with triple poly, patchwork, Edge Imp chain, all that stuff. But then you would definitely up the count. You'd play more Fallen of Albaz. You definitely play Theater as well, because then you have more ways of fusion summoning monsters. And then it's good because poly kind of helps you play around getting your Branded Fusion ashed. But there's still ways of doing it, right? Then you play the Super Poly when you go second. You can play the Branded Expulsion, which is like the whole like reborn the 2 cards and banish them. You can play Abalonatus as well, because this card is, this card you summon by contact fusion, so you can get rid of other monsters on the board. He's okay, like he's a niche interaction. Of course, if Dragon Link or the Bystials see a lot more play, which they currently are, so he's a good way to deal with it. And then his end phase that you get a polymerization or fusion spell. So again, you basically like put all these cards in if you want to change the deck around. You can play his second Guardian Chimera. You can play his Springen's kit as well. I would recommend this because there are just so many names to play. So that's it for the side and the options. Now moving on to the extra guys, we are playing double Lindworm. Now this card is crazy, right? The Gunhammer. So someone actually pointed out in my last video that this card cannot negate Nibiru, and thank you a lot for pointing that out as well. He can only negate extra deck monsters. So again, it does suck, but there are still ways to play around it. Being able to negate that effect, and then you can return one monster on the field to the hand. So like, let's just say like your opponent does something, you negate the effect, and then you bounce like another one of their monsters to the hand, or you bounce a Bystial to your hand that you summon during your turn, so now you have follow play for next turn, or to activate double disruption as well. So it's pretty good. Then he has the effect again where you can quick effect reborn a Fallen of Albaz, and then using that, summoning the Albaz, and then using Albaz to super poly during your opponent's turn is very good. So Lindworm is crazy, like especially if they out this card, being able to just reborn him back and just continue playing is absolutely insanity. Of course, he's a hard one to return, but it doesn't matter. And then we're playing double Googly Moogly. So Grand Guignol, the finale dragon. I'm calling him Googly Moogly. If you guys call him Googly Moogly, let me know that you guys call him Googly Moogly. But yeah, this card says if this card's fusion summon, send one level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your deck or extra to the graveyard. So the reason why I was saying that Albion is really good is because he is a level 50 million or like a 7 or an 8. So you can mill him. You can send any of these guys as well. You can also mill Lubellion if you didn't open it. So you can just get Lubellion to reborn himself from the graveyard. Pretty good. Then play the one Albion, of course. Albion, he's the miracle fusion. Being able to banish and summon. Play the one Brigand. You don't really summon this guy, honestly. But he does have a cool effect where he can't be destroyed at battle. And then while you control the fusion summon card, your opponent cannot target other monsters you control with monster effects. So it's like he's like more of the protection card. You almost always never summon him, sadly. You're using him for his graveyard effect, where if he's in the graveyard, you can get one Tri-Brigade, so you're basically getting a Mercurier. If you want to get Albaz, you can, but to be honest, you don't really need to do that effect. But again, his effect on board is pretty good because he does give you protection in late game, grind game situations. Play the one Mirror Jade. You can play 2, but there's no reason to if you can only control one Mirror Jade, and you're reborning him oftentimes with Ad Libitum. The one Lubellion, again, we're not really going through Lubellion a lot nowadays, especially because we have so many other ways of facilitating our plays. Lubellion is just more of like a grind game / combo extender in a sense. The one Garura, now this is the flex spot. I can move this up here if you guys wanted, and that's where you can play the Guardian Chimera. You can play the Abalonatus as well, and it doesn't matter. We play the one Guardian Chimera because again, we only play one branded in red, so the reliance on having double Chimera isn't that important. You can definitely play the second Chimera because of Kashira, but it doesn't really matter. And then yeah, I'll just put the Garura back just because I kind of like drawing a card. But then we do play the one Predplant Dragon Despia. Now this is probably the most generic fusion monster that you can play. You can play Mud Dragon as well. Starving Venom has his niche applications with like the Adignister guy, a rival Cyberverse, or like a big fat Changing. But Dragon Despia just has good outs to all of that. And again, it is a nice little Sword Soul counter as well. So Dragon Despia is pretty good. Then we played the one Prescanian Pescatarian, the one Cortus, and the one Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. Now these cards are more of like the generic cards, or these guys are the guys that you can bring off of the Finale Dragon. So again, let me know what you guys think about the deck file. If I should change anything at all, please comment down below, guys. I do respond to every single one of your comments. So guys, that was it for the video. If you guys liked the video, of course, like the video. Comment if you guys have not already, because like I always say, guys, I do respond to each and every single one of the comments. Again, check out all the socials down below as well. If you made it to the end of the video and you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and just minimize this video. Hit that subscribe right here, because I appreciate that, guys. And like I always say, my name's Hamza. Keep on shining, never run your dreams. Peace.